Nah, my name is Carlos Mendez. I'm 59 years old, and on the morning of March 5th, 2024, I died. Not in a hospital bed, not during some heroic moment, but in my high-rise penthouse in Makati, alone, surrounded by everything money could buy, and yet completely empty. That day started just like any other. I woke up at 5:30 a.m., checked my overseas stock portfolio, skimmed through a dozen unread reports, and yelled at my executive assistant before the sun even came up. I was worth over 4 billion pesos. I owned resorts in Palawan Towers in Singapore, a luxury condo in Manhattan I hadn't even visited. My name was printed on donation plaques, gala brochures, and corporate jets. People bowed when I entered a room, but no one really knew me, not even my own children, maybe not even myself. Around 9:12 that morning, I was mid-sentence during a video call, arguing over a missed opportunity in Dubai, when something strange happened. My chest tightened. Not like stress. This was different. It felt like something had grabbed my heart and started squeezing. Hard. My vision blurred. My left arm went cold. I tried to stand up. My lips moved, but nothing came out. And then silence. Cold, hollow silence. I collapsed. The next moment, I wasn't in my body anymore. I was above it, watching. My face was pale, eyes half open. My assistant, Anna, was screaming, crying, dialing emergency numbers with shaking hands. But I felt nothing. No fear, no pain, no regret, just stillness. For the first time in my life, there was no noise, no rush, no deadlines, just a strange peace. And then I saw it, a light, not from the ceiling or the sun. This was different. It pulsed like it was alive. It didn't burn, it embraced. It didn't blind, it invited. Slowly, the walls of my penthouse faded. The world of stocks, assets, power, all dissolved. I wasn't in Makati anymore. I was somewhere else. I found myself standing on a plain that stretched further than my eyes could see. The sky above shimmered like the inside of a pearl. The grass beneath my feet felt soft, alive, almost musical. The air was warm but not heavy. Everything was light. And then I saw a man walking toward me. He didn't wear a crown. He didn't glow like angels in movies. He was dressed simply. Yet his presence made the ground seem sacred. His face wasn't perfect by human standards, but his eyes held galaxies of love, oceans of sorrow, and depths I couldn't begin to understand. When he looked at me, I felt completely seen. Every lie I'd told, every deal I'd made, every night I chose profit over people laid bare. And still, I didn't feel judged. I felt loved. I could barely speak. My lips trembled. My knees weakened. All I could say was, Jesus. And he smiled. That smile didn't scold me. It didn't shame me. It broke something inside me I didn't even know was broken. Years of ambition, pride, control melted in the warmth of that moment. And I cried, not because I was scared, but because for the first time in my entire adult life, I felt safe. I felt home. He stepped closer and said my name, Carlos. And in that instant, I knew my life as I knew it was over. But something greater, something eternal, was just beginning. He said my name again, Carlos. And when he spoke, I didn't just hear it with my ears. I felt it in the deepest part of my being, like a memory I had long forgotten was suddenly restored. His voice wasn't loud. It didn't echo. It was calm, gentle, but it held the weight of eternity. It held authority and mercy in the same breath. And the moment I heard him say my name, I wept. I wasn't just crying. I was unraveling. Years of masks, walls, and hardened ambition peeled off my soul like old paint. I had stood before presidents, closed billion-peso deals, threatened CEOs, but now I was just a child standing in front of someone who knew me better than I ever dared to know myself. I tried to speak, to explain, to defend. My lips parted, and what came out was, "I didn't think you'd want to see me." He stepped closer. His eyes, they weren't just looking at me, they were reading me, everything I had ever done, everything I had ever thought. The moments I had hidden from the world, the shame, the selfishness, the quiet cruelties. I waited for judgment, for disappointment, but instead, he nodded softly. "Carlos, I never stopped wanting you." That broke me again. I remembered the night I cursed his name after losing a deal in Shanghai. I remembered the last time I walked out of church mocking the pastor under my breath. I remembered all the times I traded faith for financial security, kindness for conquest. And still, he said he wanted me, not the version I showed the world, not the businessman, me, the broken son. You've been chasing what the world promised would make you full, but your soul has been starving. Carlos, I've watched you climb towers built on fear. I've seen you pour decades into building an empire, only to lose your own heart in the process. And still, I came because you are not what you've done. You are who I created you to be. I couldn't stand anymore. My knees gave way. I collapsed at his feet, not out of fear, but out of release. It was like every hidden weight I'd carried for years had been exposed and lifted. I felt his hand on my shoulder, warm, real. And then I saw it, memories flooding like rivers, not the highlight reels, but the moments I forgot mattered. The time I ignored my son's call because I was too busy. The way I spoke to my wife like she was a business partner, not a beloved. The day I fired an entire team because our profits dipped by 2%. And then the moments I never knew he saw the quiet donation I gave to the janitor's family when his daughter was in the hospital. The night I drove past a homeless man, turned around, and gave him food. The birthday card I signed myself, not my secretary for a retiring employee. I looked at Jesus speechless. You saw all of it. Nothing is missed, Carlos. Not even the smallest act of love. Not even the moments when you doubted me but still chose to do what was right. I saw your striving. I saw your exhaustion, and I never left you. Tears blurred my vision. I wanted to speak, but all I could do was whisper, "Why me? Why now? I've done so much wrong." "Because I'm not done with you yet." He helped me to my feet. I didn't feel worthy to stand in front of him, and yet I felt no shame, no guilt, just belonging. I had spent decades trying to earn respect, to control every outcome. But in this moment, in this place, I understood the one thing that no deal, no wealth, no power could give me: grace. He turned slightly, and as he did, the world around us began to shift. The sky shimmered like flowing silk. The air trembled, and I could sense it. Something was coming, a revelation, a vision, a truth I wasn't ready for, but that he was about to show me. And in that silence before the unveiling, I knew this meeting wasn't just for me. It was a beginning, a calling. Jesus didn't say anything more, but I could feel something unfolding deep within my chest, like a dam cracking. Something long buried was about to rise. The vision widened. Now I saw moments I had completely erased from memory. I saw the eyes of an old friend I had betrayed in a business deal. He trusted me, but I used a loophole to seize his company. I watched the pain on his face. Not anger, just heartbreak. Then I saw the factory I had shut down in Davao. Hundreds of workers were laid off overnight. Fathers, mothers, people with mouths to feed, and I had celebrated the profit margins over wine that night. There was more. I saw the little lies I told to secure deals. The charity galas where I gave millions only to impress clients while stepping over the homeless on my way out. I saw the days my children waited at the dinner table while I canceled again and again for emergencies that were just meetings about more zeros. Their faces blurred in the vision as if they were fading away because I had let them fade. Then something shifted. I wasn't just watching anymore. I was feeling the loneliness of my wife, the coldness my children had learned to call normal, the fear in a single mom's heart when her housing was taken from a deal I signed, the ripples. My choices weren't just about me. They were echoes, waves, shaping lives I never saw. Carlos, you asked what money did to your soul. Now you see, it made you forget who you are. It built walls around your heart. It told you that success was measured in towers and titles. But real success is measured in love. I covered my face with my hands. I couldn't bear the weight, but his voice kept me grounded, gentle, unwavering, like a lighthouse in the storm. You were made for more than numbers. You were made for people. And though your hands have built empires, they were meant to heal, not to hold on to power. And then I saw one last thing, a vision not of the past, but of the future. Two roads, one led to more wealth, more deals, more control. But the road was lined with hollow victories and empty applause. The other road was simple, raw. It led to faces, names, moments of kindness. That path, it led home. I turned to him, my voice breaking. What do I do now? Choose, and do not wait too long. Time is a gift, not a guarantee. In that moment, I knew. My life had been bought with gold, but my soul was starved. I didn't need more. I needed less and deeper. Less greed, less pride, less ego, and more of him, of love, of service, of meaning. That was the moment I stopped being a billionaire in spirit and started becoming a man. The moment I stopped speaking, the light around us shifted again. No longer was I seeing what had been. Now, I was being shown what could be. The air became still, but not empty. It was expectant, like the hush before a sunrise. A new scene unfolded before my eyes. It wasn't filled with gold mansions or power. No. I saw myself in a small kitchen. The walls were cracked, the windows fogged from steam, and there I was, wearing a simple apron serving soup to men and women with tired eyes and grateful hands. My heart broke wide open. Then I saw another vision. I was sitting on a sidewalk next to a teenage boy. His clothes were ragged, his arms covered in scars. I wasn't lecturing him. I was listening, crying with him. holding space for his pain, and somehow I knew I had once been that boy, lost, angry, starving for love in a world too loud to hear his soul. Then, something even more shocking appeared. I saw my family, my son no longer distant, hugging me tightly, my daughter smiling as she painted on a tiny canvas in a quiet park, and my wife, my Rebecca, looking at me with a tenderness I hadn't seen in years. She reached for my hand. "Carlos, this is not fantasy. This is the life still waiting for you. If you choose it, this is not punishment. It's promise. It's not debt, it's destiny." I tried to speak, but my throat caught with emotion. I watched myself in the vision visiting rehab centers, not just donating, but staying. I saw a boy in a wheelchair whisper, "Thank you, Tito Carlos. You're the only one who came back." I saw mothers smile through tears as I handed them envelopes. No cameras, no press, just help quietly given. The world doesn't need more billionaires. It needs broken men who dare to be healed, men who let go of their crowns and pick up compassion. The sky in the vision grew brighter. I saw children singing in Tagalog, hands lifted barefoot in a chapel with no walls. I saw food being served under a bridge. I saw my old mansion sold and the money used to build homes in places I used to fly over, never seeing. I turned to Jesus, overwhelmed. Can I really do all that? After everything I've done? Yes, Carlos, not because you earned it, but because I never stopped calling you. This isn't about fixing your past. It's about living your purpose. A soft wind brushed across my face. It smelled like home, not a penthouse, but a Filipino kitchen after rain. Garlic and rice on the stove, laughter echoing in the background. My real home, not made of marble, but of mercy. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be willing. Say yes, and I will walk with you. I closed my eyes. The visions were fading, but something had shifted deep inside me. For the first time, I wanted to go back, not for money, not for glory, but to love, to heal, to finally become the man God always meant me to be. I stood on that glowing field with time standing still and eternity pressing gently against my chest like a memory I had always longed for. I didn't want to leave. I couldn't imagine returning to that cold penthouse, to the steel and glass, to the loneliness behind billions of dollars. But I also couldn't look away from his eyes. His eyes, they weren't just looking at me. They were reading me. And yet I felt no judgment, no accusation, only this unbreakable tenderness that wrapped around my broken soul. "Can I stay here?" I whispered, barely able to speak through the lump in my throat. "Please, I don't belong back there. I've already ruined everything. Carlos, your story is not finished. You came here not because I wanted to punish you, but because I wanted to awaken you." My chest tightened. My mind still echoed with the images he had shown me, what I had done and what I could have done. "I'm scared," I admitted. "What if I forget this? What if I go back and the world swallows me again? Then remember this moment. Let it anchor you when temptation whispers. Let it steady you when the lies of power call again. I will be there, even in your silence." I wanted to believe him, and yet deep inside I felt unworthy. I've hurt people. I've destroyed trust. I've worshipped my own success. He didn't flinch. He didn't even blink. Redemption is not about pretending it never happened. It's about choosing to live differently, even when the world doesn't believe you can. The wind around us shifted, not cold, but stirring, as if something in the air knew this moment mattered. You will return, not to gain wealth, but to give love. Not to build empires, but to rebuild hearts. You will return to serve, to listen, to forgive. I felt tears spill down my cheeks. These weren't the tears of fear anymore. They were the tears of a man finally laid bare, finally free of performance, of image, of pride. But how do I begin, I asked. What does it even look like to live like that? It looks like calling your son, not to fix what's broken, but to love without condition. It looks like speaking life to your daughter, not to shape her path, but to cherish who she is. It looks like kneeling beside the forgotten and remembering that you were once forgotten too. His words hit deeper than any sermon I'd ever heard, because they weren't spoken to impress me or you. They were spoken to rescue me. The world will measure you by your returns, but I measure you by your love. The world will praise your investments, but I rejoice when you invest in people. The world will forget your net worth, but heaven remembers every act of mercy. A silence fell between us, not awkward, but sacred. Will I be enough? I asked. You are already loved, not because of what you've done, but because of who I made you to be. Just walk with me. That's enough. At that moment, I realized something. I wasn't being punished. I was being trusted to carry a message, to walk a different path, to use what I've been given, not to control the world, but to heal it. I'll go, I said through quiet sobs. I don't know how, but I'll go. I'll love more. I'll give more. I'll serve until there's nothing left to prove, and in doing so, you'll find more joy than all your riches ever promised, but never gave. And then, slowly, gently, I felt the light begin to pull away, the sound of eternity fading, and the weight of a new mission settling deep inside me. I woke up to the sharp scent of alcohol and the cold sting of fluorescent light above me. Everything felt blurry, like I had just been ripped out of a dream, too real to be just a dream. My chest burned, my throat ached. Tubes were down my nose and throat. Machines beeped steadily beside me, and voices murmured somewhere in the room, urgent, professional, astonished. Sir Carlos, you're awake? My God, you're awake? A nurse leaned over me, eyes wide with disbelief and tears. You were clinically dead, sir, for almost 25 minutes. No heartbeat, flatline. But somehow you came back. I blinked. They called it a miracle. The doctors shook their heads. It's impossible, one whispered. He should have brain damage. He shouldn't be speaking. But I could speak. Not immediately, but inside, I could scream. I had just stood in the presence of Jesus. I had seen what money really does to a soul. And now, I was alive again. But why me? The days that followed were a blur of IVs, checkups, and family visits. But nothing felt real. Everything, my company, my empire, my $4 billion fortune felt distant, like a costume I used to wear, something fake, something empty. Because I had seen what matters, I had walked with Jesus. Carlos, I brought you back not to be the same, but to become who you were meant to be. This world doesn't need another tycoon. It needs someone who has seen the truth and dares to live it. Each night lying in that hospital bed, I couldn't sleep. Not because of the pain, but because I was afraid. Afraid I'd forget. Afraid that the noise of the world would drown out that holy silence I had tasted, that I would go back to who I was, cold, obsessed, lost. So I began to pray, not like the child I once was asking for toys, and not like the adult who once bargained with God to save business deals. I prayed like a man who had seen eternity, who knew how close the edge really was. "Please don't let me go back to the man I used to be," I whispered. "Please let me remember every word, every tear, every truth." My son Jay visited. He looked at me like I was a stranger. And I was. "I'm not here for money," he said flatly. "I just wanted to see if the rumors were true." "They're not," I said. "It's worse than the rumors." He frowned. "I died, Jay," and Jesus spoke to me. Silence. But I didn't back down. I looked him in the eye and said, "He showed me who I became. And it broke me. And I want to fix it. I want to fix us." He didn't say anything that day, but before he left, he hugged me. The first time in 10 years. The news spread fast. The billionaire who died and met God. It became a headline. Some laughed. Some called it a stunt. Others mocked me. I didn't care. I had lived too long being afraid of what people thought. Now I was afraid of only one thing, forgetting what I had seen. When I finally left the hospital, I didn't return to my penthouse. I went home to my childhood home in Manila that I hadn't seen in years. The one my father built with his bare hands. I sat on the old bamboo bench out front, looked up at the sky, and cried. I wasn't crying for what I lost. I was crying for what I almost never found: freedom. The freedom to love without calculation, to give without expectation, to live without a price tag. You are not back to rebuild an empire. You are back to build bridges, to restore what greed destroyed, to remind people that love is stronger than gold. So that's what I started doing. The very next week, I donated anonymously to settle the debts of 5 families I once evicted from my buildings. I wrote personal letters to people I had hurt. I called my ex-wife, told her the truth, and didn't try to win her back. I just wanted her to know I was sorry. I even contacted the janitor from my former office building, the one I used to ignore. I told him thank you for being kind when I wasn't. Each act was a step toward redemption. Each phone call, each tear, each moment of humility was a thread connecting me back to the heart I had buried under wealth. Jesus didn't bring me back because I was good. He brought me back because I needed to change. And because someone out there needed to hear this story, that's what I'm doing now. Telling the truth, even if it costs me everything. Because the real death wasn't when my heart stopped. It was all the years I spent chasing what didn't matter. But now I'm alive. And if you're listening, maybe it's time you come back to life too. Coming back was the hardest part. Not because I didn't want to live, but because I had just experienced something so perfect, so full of peace, that this world now felt unbearably heavy. I opened my eyes in a hospital bed, bright lights, beeping machines. My chest was on fire. A nurse screamed for the doctor. They called it a miracle. No brain damage, no cardiac complications. But I knew why I was still here. I had met him. I had stood in the presence of Jesus, and I would never be the same. The very first thing I did when I could speak was ask for my phone. Not to call investors, not to check stock prices. I called David. My son, David. I whispered through tears. I love you. I'm sorry for every time I made you feel like money mattered more than you. I was wrong. He was silent. Then I heard him cry. Dad, I've waited my whole life to hear you say that. Next was Emma, my daughter. She thought I was going to lecture her again. But instead, I said, I love you. I'm proud of you. Not because of what you do, but because of who you are. She broke down, and I did too. Then I called Rebecca, my wife, or at least the woman who had been. I know I broke us, I said. I know I put my wealth above our family. But I died Rebecca, and I met Jesus. He showed me what I had become, and I don't want to live like that anymore. She didn't believe me at first. She said I had promised change before, when business deals failed or when I wanted something. How is this different, she asked. I took a deep breath. Because I'm giving it all away, I told her. The homes, the jets, the empire, all of it. I'm keeping enough for us to live simply. The rest is going to people who need it more than we ever did. There was silence. Then she whispered, "That's $4 billion, I said softly. "No, that's 4 billion chains, and I'm done being a prisoner." Over the next 12 months, I did what I promised. I sold everything. I gave 95% of it away. I moved into a small house, no gates, no luxury, just grass kids, riding bikes, neighbors who know your name. David and I have breakfast every Saturday now. We talk about dreams, not dividends. Emma celebrated 1 year sober. I was there holding her hand. Rebecca moved back in. One night on the porch, she looked at me and said, "You look like the man I married, the one who wanted to change the world, not own it." And I smiled. I now work at a food bank. I serve people with my hands, people I used to ignore, people who remind me of who I used to be. I wear old clothes. Nobody cares who I was. They care who I am now. They don't need my money. They need my presence. And that's something I never knew how to give before. I used to think I had everything, but I had nothing. Now the world says I have nothing, but I know I have everything. I sleep at night, not from exhaustion, but from peace. People say I've lost my mind. Some say I had a breakdown, but the truth is, I finally woke up. I finally saw clearly. I finally let go of what was killing me, to hold on to what was saving me. His name is Jesus, and because of him, I'm finally free. If you've made it this far, I want to thank you, not just for listening, but for opening your heart. This wasn't just a story about a billionaire who died and came back. It was a wake-up call, a divine reminder that the value of your soul is never measured in dollars, but in love, in mercy, in the lives you touch. We live in a world obsessed with more wealth, more power, more control. But what if the most powerful thing you could ever do was to forgive? What if the richest thing you could ever give was your time? What if the greatest legacy you could ever leave wasn't your name on buildings, but your fingerprints on broken hearts that you helped heal? This story is not just about Jonathan, it's about all of us. Because whether you have billions or just a few coins in your pocket, you still have something priceless to give your love, your presence, your prayers. And that changes everything. Jesus didn't ask for our money. He asked for our hearts. And once you've given him that, you'll never be the same. So here is my invitation to you. Don't just watch this video and move on. Pause. Reflect. Ask yourself the question Jonathan was too afraid to ask for decades. Am I using money to love people or using people to love money? You don't have to die and come back to change your life. You can start today. You can make that call. Forgive that person. Help that neighbor. Pray that prayer. Heaven is listening. And trust me, one sincere act of love can echo for eternity. If this story touched you, if it made you feel something you haven't felt in a long time, hope, conviction, maybe even faith, then don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with someone who needs it. Leave a comment below and tell us what part of the story moved you the most. Hit the like button if this reminded you of what really matters. And please, subscribe to this channel for more real stories of faith that have the power to change lives, Not just videos, but voices, messages, truths this world desperately needs to hear. You're not just a viewer, you're part of this mission now. Let's build something eternal, not with bricks or coins, but with truth, love, and courage. Thank you for being here. God bless you. And remember, the richest life is the one spent pouring into others, and the greatest return is love.